You are listening to KLRN Radio, where liberty and reason still reign.
All writers are prone to becoming so attached to our characters and stories that we struggle to see why a passage may not be working. It takes another set of eyes to help us nurture our writing to full maturity. At Black Wolf Editorial Services, we strive to enable writers to develop and grow, shaping stories into masterpieces that can stand the test of time. Editing services are provided for all genres and all age categories. Services range from critiques of a short story through to the line edits of a full-length novel and copy editing for those preparing for publication. We also offer assistance on generating a writer's bio for your website, as well as help with those book blurbs and promotional material. We won't abandon you to the masses. We want to celebrate with you in your successes. Black Wolf Editorial Services, nurturing your writing into maturity. For a full list of services and prices, visit us at blackwolfeditorial.com.
Individuals and businesses with tax problems, listen carefully. Do you feel like you're losing control over your finances? If you owe over $10,000 in back taxes or have unfiled tax returns, we can help you take back control. The IRS is the largest and most aggressive collection agency in the world, and they can seize your bank account, garnish your paycheck, close your business, and file criminal charges. Take control of your tax problems now by calling the experts at Tax Mediation Services and take advantage of the Fresh Start program and new laws that may allow us to negotiate a settlement for the lowest amount possible. Our team of tax attorneys and enrolled agents can stop collections and get you protected so you can take control of your financial future. Tax Mediation Services is accredited by the Better Business Bureau. Call now for a free case review and a price protection guaranteed quote.
Call Tax Mediation Services now at 800-610-9050. That's 800-610-9050. 800-610-9050.
KLRN Radio has advertising rates available. We have rates to fit almost any budget. Contact us at advertising@klrnradio.com.
This is Slickery Trigger for Rebel Road Tactical. With proper care and feeding, your pistol will be ready when you need it, there to save your life. Shouldn't your gear be that good? Whether you need a holster for comfortable everyday carry or a tough-as-nails holster for your next training course, Rebel Road Tactical has what you need. Check us out on the web at rebelroadtactical.com.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 1-800-516-7602 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 1-800-516-7602 to take your call right now. Call 1-800-516-7602. That's 1-800-516-7602. Again, 1-800-516-7602.
We believe in the American way, and we built this country called the USA, and we fly our flag because we're proud and free, we're Americans. Red, white, and blue is our way of life. We never back down from a challenge or a fight. Nature provides, God gives the rights, we're Americans. We fish the waters and we hunt the lands. We forge the steel with our own two hands. With what we've got, we do the best we can. We're Americans.
It's time now for the Conservative Curmudgeon Radio Show on.
Good evening. So glad to be back. It has been a pretty hectic summer for me, but back to normal work hours finally, so we can get some things hammered out and get back on to schedule here. Hated to be away as much as I was this summer, but so glad to be back in the saddle now. Some programming notes you might want to take measure of here. Following me tonight on KLRN, our rockin' new home, the mothership, if you will. On KLRN, we're going to have Michael Loftus. Fantastic, funny guy. Lots of common sense stuff rolled in with a great sense of humor, soaked in sarcasm, and you just don't want to miss it. It's good stuff. And I am proud to be in front of him, warming you up with just pure bitterness, if you will. Because then you can just let it all loose with Michael. It's great. You'll love it. Trust me. Stay tuned and find out. And then after Michael, Jesse's POV will be on. And then a little later tonight, it's Wednesday, so it is America Off the Rails with the rowdy one, Rick Robinson. And, man, that is a full Wednesday night. And trust me, it's still summer season on the TV. TV sucks in the summer. Just stay tuned right here. You're going to enjoy your night. I promise you. All right. That being said, we got a lot of stuff to cover tonight. As usual, I am over-prepared with notes and probably under-prepared with delivering them. And Mr. Producer's on the other end of the line. I don't know if he's actually listening or not, but if he is, I hope he throws in some punchline stuff for me here and there. Okay, he's listening. I see the humor. Not bad. Not bad. All right, so let's take off here. Imagine that you and your family have been facing some health problems. And you have insurance, and you've nearly reached your out-of-pocket maximum. And once you reach that point, that's when your insurer will foot the bill for everything else after that point. You know, you gotta make your minimum, and then they cover everything after that. But then, your state's Obamacare co-op fails. And you have to switch plans in the middle of the year and begin making those payments all over again. For far too many Americans, this is not an imaginary situation. This is exactly what happened to Americans in Ohio and Illinois as the latest batch of Obamacare co-ops became financially insolvent. And it's going to continue to happen as long as federal officials believe they can successfully control healthcare choices of the American people. Enough is enough. The bureaucrats in Washington can't make healthcare decisions for you or me or insurance providers. The Supreme Court, not the Constitution, has granted them this power. And there's only one way to take it back. Well, there's actually more than one way, but the way we're going to just quick touch on here is an Article 5 Convention of States. The other way is a lot harder, so we're not even going to go that route. A convention of states can reverse activist court decisions like the one that actually rewrote and legalized Obamacare, or the Affordable Care Act, if you will. A convention of states can clarify Washington's limited role in the American society and force them to adhere to the will of the people and the states. Keep that in mind, because we're going to shift gears a little bit, but we're staying on the main topic, and that is the failure of Obamacare and its co-ops. Now, not to toot my own horn, especially since I'm not the only one who's been doing this, but since 2009, I've been warning people that this healthcare law would eventually collapse and that it would never work and that people should avoid it at all costs. From the onset, I had serious concerns about the Affordable Care Act. You had the situation where the doctors that were part of Congress that the American people had voted in, especially on the Republican side, were shut out of the debate by the Democrat majority at the time. Since then, we've seen premiums and out-of-pocket expenses skyrocket for American families, just like yours and mine. This law, a law that was supposed to help expand access to health care coverage, has cost many families the health insurance plans they already had and felt fit their needs perfectly. And many have been forced to change doctors on top of that because of network restrictions. Perhaps the most predictable failure of Obamacare is the collapse of the consumer-oriented and operated plans, or the co-ops, which have cost taxpayers more than $1 billion. And that's just last year, folks. The co-ops that haven't closed their doors have joined other insurers to hike their premiums this year by an average across the country number of 40%. Now, this is on top of last year's average premium increase of 31%. The president's new health care law created co-ops as an alternative to many Democrat-preferred option of government-run insurance plan. I mean, I guess as options go, it's better, but certainly lacking well behind what America needs. Now, they referred to that as the public option. So a co-op is a nonprofit insurance program where organizations formed at a national, state, or local level can receive assistance from the federal government to set up their own health insurance companies. To receive federal assistance, the programs must be not-for-profit and cannot have anyone previously affiliated with another health insurer on their board. Now, this, to me, makes about as much sense as me ramming a partisan, unpopular health care bill through Congress and kicking all the doctors out of the room, so I guess I shouldn't be surprised, right? The government took this risky endeavor on, ignoring warnings from the Department of Health and Human Services and even some Democrats who supported the ACA that the co-op program would fail. According to the Housing, Energy, and Commerce Committee, HHS predicted as early as 2011 that 36% of the loans would go unpaid. Similarly, in 2012, the Office of Management and Budget estimated taxpayers would lose 43% on the loans. Yes, not the government, because the government is made up of our money, folks. That's our money they're spending and loaning to these co-ops, not their money. 23 co-ops were created after the ACA was signed into law. To date,
what you say?
My bad. That wasn't what I thought it was.
Producer? What was that?
I thought it. Well, actually, I thought this was a different sound effect, so it didn't play what I expected it to play. My bad.
I can't understand the thing you're saying right now.
Yeah, it was supposed to be say what, and instead it pulled up what you say, so that didn't work out. Sorry, my bad. I'm gonna go back to not paying attention now.
At least you were listening. All right, so 12, more than half of these 23 co-ops have already failed and closed down, costing taxpayers $1.23 billion and leaving more than 250,000 people looking for new insurance options, now with fewer choices and having to restart paying their premiums from zero. This happened in the state of Tennessee when Community Health Alliance went belly up, leaving roughly 27,000 Tennesseans without coverage for 2016. Community Health Alliance offered artificially low premiums after the overwhelmed co-op stopped selling new policies in January and the following summer asked for a double-digit premium increase for 2016. It ultimately decided it was unable to handle the volume of consumers. And in the wake of the months of uncertainty, they shuttered it down. Ironically, This came after about 16,000 Tennesseans were left searching for insurance coverage because Cover Tennessee, a program that helps small businesses and self-employed Tennesseans purchase insurance, was canceled because the program did not meet the minimum coverage requirements set by the president's health care law. So now you've got 27,000 plus 16,000. Quick math, everybody. Yeah, that's right, 43,000 people. I've heard some make the argument that the lack of Medicaid expansion and not the failed co-op is what left Tennesseans with fewer insurance options. But Tennessee learned a lesson about expensive failed Medicaid expansions through their experience with TennCare. Now, think about this, okay? Tennessee has a balanced state budget. And TennCare, the state's Medicaid program, crippled that budget. Nearly 300,000 people were cut from the program a decade ago to keep it financially viable. And TennCare is now one of the most restrictive health care plans in the U.S. It limits how many medications patients can receive. What if you need more than 5? Well, tough. What brands you can purchase? What if there's no generic, but your name brand medication isn't covered? On TennCare, that's just too damn bad. And what doctors they can see. You like your doctor? Well, screw you. You can't keep your doctor. TennCare's payments to physicians are lower than the rates paid by Medicare to private insurers. So many providers have opted out of accepting the program and no longer see TennCare patients. Tennessee Governor Bill Haslam worked tirelessly to find a path to provide Tennesseans with better health care coverage choices, but the Obama administration restricted his options. Further, many Tennesseans are rightfully concerned about the strings that could be attached to a Medicaid expansion. One of the most significant concerns of working with this administration is the lack of trust that it will follow through on any commitment it makes. Because we all know that Obama, just like Hillary, will say anything to appease somebody and then do nothing to carry that promise through. Simply put, as Obamacare continues to crumble, there are no good options under the president's health care law for states. I believe we'll continue to see the negative effects of Obamacare, but I know that we as a country can and do deserve better. Importantly, the Republican majority in Congress showed repeal is possible by getting a bill repealing the worst parts of the ACA to the president's desk. But repeal efforts will not succeed until we have a new conservative-minded president. Until then, conservatives need to keep fighting to repeal and replace Obamacare while doing everything they can to protect the millions of patients being harmed by this illegal law. How's that for tonight's oxymoron? Illegal law. I like it. Now, again, moderately changing gears but staying with the same theme. We have a recent announcement by health insurer Aetna that it halted plans to expand its offerings on Obamacare exchanges and is going to reduce or possibly even eliminate its participation entirely. And this caused a shockwave among health policy experts. The insurer that up till now had acted as one of Obamacare's biggest cheerleaders has now admitted that the law will not work, get this, without a massive new infusion of taxpayer cash. Because God knows we taxpayers haven't been raked over the coals enough by the ACA already. In an interview with Bloomberg, the magazine, not the idiot that thought he might run for president, but it is his magazine. So, I mean, it's kind of one and the same, but a little different. Anyway, Aetna's CEO, Mark Bertolini, explained that the company's major concern with Obamacare implementation is this. Bertolini said big changes are needed to make the exchanges viable. Risk adjustment. Now, it's important that you know the terminology. Keep this in mind. Risk adjustment. A mechanism that transfers funds from insurers with healthier clients to those with sick ones doesn't work, he said. Rather than transferring money among insurers, he continued to say, the law should be changed to subsidize insurers with government funds. He said it needs to be a non-zero sum pool in order to fix it. Right now, insurers that are less worse off pay for those that are worse off. So to break it down in a little less confusing terms, Obamacare's risk adjustment is designed to even out differences in health status among enrollees. Simply put, plans with healthier than average patients subsidize plans with sicker than average patients. But the statute stipulates that the risk adjustment payments should be based on quote-unquote average actuarial risk in each state marketplace. By definition, plans will transfer funds among themselves, but the payments will net out to zero. Risk adjustment, a permanent feature of Obamacare, should not be confused with the law's temporary risk corridor program, scheduled to end in December. Whereas risk corridor subsidizes loss-making plans, risk adjustment subsidizes sicker patients. And while plans can lose money for reasons unrelated to patient care, excessive overhead or bad investments, for instance, insurers incurring perpetual losses on patient care have little chance of ever breaking even. That's the situation Aetna says it is finding itself in now. In calling for the government to subsidize risk adjustment, Bertolini believes that for the foreseeable future, insurers will continue to face a risk pool sicker than the average employer plan. In other words, the exchanges won't work as currently constituted because healthy people are staying away from Obamacare plans in droves, which is perfect. This is what I told you people back starting in 2009 you needed to do. There are alternatives out there. You do not have to go through Obamacare. And in doing so, in staying away from Obamacare, you're forcing this plan to fail. So keep it up, America. Keep it up. Now, Aetna's proposed quote-unquote solution, as expected, is for the taxpayer to pick up the tab. It's not that insurers haven't received enough in bailout funds already. As I have noted in prior works, insurance companies stand to receive over $170 billion in bailout funds over the coming decade. You know, the Obama administration has flouted the plain text of the law to prioritize payments to insurers over repayments to the United States Treasury. But still, insurance companies want more. Are you surprised? They've seen a way to get more, so now they want to exploit it because they want more. Some viewed Aetna's threat to vacate the exchanges as an implicit threat resulting from the Justice Department's challenging its planned merger with Humana. But the reality is far worse. Aetna was conditioning its participation not on its merger being approved, but on receiving more bailout funds from Washington. More Obamacare duct tape won't save Obamacare's collapsing exchanges. The president is ignoring the unpleasant realities, the importance of the House, and the importance of the House GOP health plan. Like a patient in intensive care, the left wants to administer billions of dollars to insurers as a form of fiscal morphine, hoping upon hope that the cash infusions can tide them over until the exchanges reach a condition approaching health. Just last month, the liberal Commonwealth Fund proposed extending Obamacare's reinsurance program, scheduled to end this December, until the reformed market has matured. No timeline, just let it go indefinitely until we hook enough people into the plan. But as Bertolini admitted in his interview, the exchanges do not work and will not work, meaning Commonwealth's suggestion would create yet another perpetual bailout machine. Only markets and not more taxpayer money will turn this ailing patient around. Congress should act to end the morphine drip and stop the bailouts once and for all. At that point, policymakers of both parties will be forced to come together to outline the prescription for freedom that they would put in its place. Freedom for you, freedom for me, freedom for the physicians that treat us to make the choices, prescribe the medications, and administer the care that we want and they think we need, not Washington, D.C. Wow. Okay. And just in case you're out there thinking you want to raise Cain with me over this, maybe you agree, maybe you disagree, maybe you like it, maybe you don't like it, maybe you like me, maybe you don't like me. I don't really care. You're listening either way. But if you want to voice your opinion, the number is 405-648-4798. That's 405-648-4798. Now we're coming up on the bottom of the hour here, and I'm done with my ACA stuff, so I'm going to give Mr. Producer a second to queue up some commercials to get running here. And once we take the break, when we come back, we're going to change gears. We've dealt with the failings of the ACA, and we are going to shift gears hard, drop it down into fourth or fifth or overdrive, depending on what generation you're from. I don't really care. I've got a 411 positive traction rear end, so the tires aren't spinning, the rubber's going to grip, and we're just going to go when we get back. So sit still, stay tuned, and when we come back, it's time for more of Hillary's failures.
We can't drop it into the fifth. I'm currently drinking it, just saying.
Hey, that works too. Just don't drive.
Oh, but ain't that you and me? Ain't that America? Something to see, baby. Ain't that America? Home of the free, yeah.
You're listening to the Spark Radio Network, internet radio like you've never heard before. Innovation, creativity, and imagination are all said to begin with a spark. So fasten your seatbelt and take the ride of your life and listen for the spark.
Having a place to go after school will make you a better student. Having an outlet to express yourself will make you a better artist. Having something to do together will make you a better family. At the Y, we're helping build better friends, listeners, writers, swimmers, scientists, and musicians, one chance at a time. Give the gift of opportunity. Support the Y at ymca.net. The Y, for a better us.
Individuals and businesses with tax problems, listen carefully. Do you feel like you're losing control over your finances? If you owe over $10,000 in back taxes or have unfiled tax returns, we can help you take back control. The IRS is the largest and most aggressive collection agency in the world, and they can seize your bank account, garnish your paycheck, close your business, and file criminal charges. Take control of your tax problems now by calling the experts at Tax Mediation Services and take advantage of the Fresh Start program and new laws that may allow us to negotiate a settlement for the lowest amount possible. Our team of tax attorneys and enrolled agents can stop collections and get you protected so you can take control of your financial future. Tax Mediation Services is accredited by the Better Business Bureau. Call now for a free case review and a price protection guaranteed quote.
Call Tax Mediation Services now at 800-610-9050. That's 800-610-9050. 800-610-9050.
Every day, the men and women of the United States Marine Corps stand ready to defend the American way of life. The few, the proud, the Marines.
Is debt beating you down? You need discipline. You need the Debt Ninja. If you've been caught in a financial trap and need to be set free, then you need the Debt Ninja. Want to stop those harassing collection calls, start saving thousands in interest and fees, and get out of debt fast? Then you need to call the Debt Ninja. The Debt Ninja will find the best companies across the country that will help you consolidate all your bills into one easy payment, reduce your payments by 30 to 50%, and get you out of debt fast. If you have unsecured debt of $10,000 or more, such as credit cards, loans, or medical bills, call the Debt Ninja for a free 15-minute consultation.
Call 800-826-1246. 800-826-1246. That's 800-826-1246. Call today.
The Debt Ninja.
This is Slickery Trigger for Rebel Road Tactical. With proper care and feeding, your pistol will be ready when you need it. There to save your life. Shouldn't your gear be that good? Whether you need a holster for comfortable everyday carry or a tough-as-nails holster for your next training course, Rebel Road Tactical has what you need. Check us out on the web at rebelroadtactical.com.
Oh, but ain't that America? You and me, ain't that America? Something to see, baby. Ain't that America? Home of the free, yeah.
All right, welcome back. Do yourself a favor, that last commercial coming on there, Slickery Trigger out at Rebel Road Tactical. Do yourself a big favor and check those guys out. Quality work. So, Hillary's long list of failures. We've been through this before. We have. And I'm not going to go backwards. Well, much anyway. We're going to stick with some newer stuff here that ties to some older stuff. How about that? Okay? So anyway, here we go. The new leader of Boko Haram, which is just, they're absolutely livid that nobody will call them by their new adopted name, which is ISWAP, which is like, I forget what it is, Islamic something on the Arabian Peninsula, blah, 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 Western African Peninsula. Maybe that's what it is, Western Africa Peninsula. Anyway, Boko Haram just appointed a new leader. And he has vowed to end attacks on fellow Muslims regarded by the group as infidels. And instead, they're going to focus on Christians. Abu Musab al-Barnawi replaces Abu Bakr Shekau, and he has accused the West of trying to, quote-unquote, Christianize the region. And he says that he will blow up every church and kill every Christian they can find. Meanwhile, Shekau, the former leader, who in March of 2015 pledged allegiance to Islamic State leader Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi, has released a recorded message crying foul over the new appointment, but vowed to continue in the cause of Allah to destroy the infidel. So we do have a little bit of difference of opinion here with a leader and a former leader and somebody who doesn't think he's a former leader and, whatever. Maybe they'll all kill each other and put Boko Haram out of our misery. We are still in the cause of Allah and will never depart in the struggle to establish an Islamic caliphate and standing by Islam. We will continue to work for the cause of Allah, not going back. Anyone that caused this, no problem. If it's possible, may Allah show him the correct path. And if it is not so, may Allah protect us from his mischief. No matter what, we have our basis in Quran. Great, because we know what it says. No matter what they call us, what we aspire is to justify our ideology in the Quran, which is ultimate because we have not derailed. We are on and in the future. Yeah, he actually said that. We will not accept any emissary except the one we can attest he is sincere and truthful for Allah in his cause. Abu Musab al-Barnawi's new focus on murdering Christians and destroying churches represents a major shift in strategy, as Boko Haram has killed far more Muslims than Christians since the election of Nigerian President Muhammadu Buhari, whom Boko Haram regarded as an infidel. It has been going after every Muslim who voted for him. Buhari made it his priority to destroy the jihadist group and encourage neighboring countries to join in his counterterrorism efforts. Immediately after the inauguration of Buhari in May of 2015, a Boko Haram suicide bomber detonated inside a mosque near a central marketplace, leveling the site and killing 26 worshippers. The weeks following saw heavily populated Muslim areas attacked, and toward the end of Ramadan on July 3rd, the month of peace, came the most brutal attack. 150 Muslim worshippers were killed in mosques, and Boko Haram extended its brutal rampage by murdering Muslim men, women, and children in their homes and then burning down the houses. Classy. Under new leader al-Barnawi, Boko Haram is now bringing in new recruits in a redirected anti-Christian war that he describes as one being fought by Muslims against apostates and crusaders. We will blow up every church and kill all Christians, said Barnawi. Where am I? I lost my notes. Hang on a second. Here we go. Yashaswani Sarawat of India Today said Nigeria's Boko Haram Islamic extremists have a new leader who is threatening to bomb churches and kill Christians while ending attacks on mosques and markets used by ordinary Muslims. Ordinary Muslims. Are those supposed to be what we would call moderate Muslims? I mean, I'm just trying to figure this out. They're alluding to something here, that there are different kinds of Muslims. I'm wondering what the other kinds are. Excuse me. So we have ordinary Muslims. Do we have extraordinary Muslims? What about extreme Muslims? Or what about less than ordinary Muslims? Are they lethargic? I don't know. I'm just grasping at straws here. This guy's trying to get a point across here some way, but he's not really making it. He also says there is a Western plot, a plot to Christianize the region, and has accused charities of using their aid for that purpose. According to a Site Intelligence Group translation of an interview published on Wednesday in the Islamic State newspaper Al-Naba. The newspaper identified Abu Musab al-Barnawi as the new wali, or governor, of its so-called West Africa province. The wali title was previously used to describe longtime Boko Haram leader Abu Bakr Shekau. The report did not say what Shekau's current status was, although there have been rumors for weeks that he had been replaced. The interview with al-Barnawi indicates a major shift in strategy for the Nigerian extremists who have killed many more Muslims than Christians. Yes, repeating myself. There have also been attacks, in the marketplaces in predominantly Muslim areas, killings and kidnappings of school children, targeting of students, accounts for its nickname Boko Haram, which does mean Western education is sinful or forbidden. They strongly seek to Christianize the society, they said, of these charity workers. They exploit the condition of those who are displaced under the raging war, providing them with food and shelter, and then Christianizing their children. How dare they? What's so horrible about somebody offering Christianity as an alternative to these people? What's so horrible? It's not like these aid workers are coming into these war-ravaged areas and taking these refugees and strapping them down and browbeating them with a Bible until they accept Christ. Al-Barnawi says the militants will respond to that threat by booby-trapping and blowing up every church that we are able to reach and killing all the Christians we can find from the citizens of the cross. Wow. So Boko Haram is now declaring war on Christians of any kind who come to their country. They're going to hunt you and they're going to try to kill you. Be careful if you're going. Be careful. Now, how does that tie to Hillary's failings? Well, I'm glad you asked, because we're about to get into it a little deeper here. Hillary, a few days ago, bleated like a goat, an old nanny goat, this statement: "We must stand up to terrorism." That hurts my throat to just try and even sound like her. But she said that in a tweet expressing outrage against Boko Haram. Again, this jihadist organization that has abducted hundreds of young girls in Nigeria. They either keep them as slaves, sell them into slavery, or marry them off to fellow Boko militants as, wives. You know how the Muslims like to marry them in the 9 to 12-year-old range. Wouldn't want anybody to grow up and get any ideas on their own, right? But yet when Hillary was actually in a position to stand up to Boko Haram's terrorism as Secretary of State, Mrs. Clinton instead protected this group. The State Department under Hillary Clinton fought hard against placing the al-Qaeda-linked militant group Boko Haram on its official list of foreign terrorist organizations for 2 years. And now, lawmakers and former U.S. officials are saying that decision may have hampered the American government's ability to confront the Nigerian group that shocked the world when it abducted hundreds of innocent girls in one fell swoop. While Mrs. Clinton now issues rude tweets, can't talk tonight, I'm sorry, folks. Her failure to mention that her own State Department refused to place Boko Haram on the list of foreign terror organizations in 2011 after the group bombed the UN headquarters in Abuja, the refusal came despite the urging of the Justice Department, the FBI, the CIA, and over a dozen senators and congressmen. The one thing she could have done, and the one tool she had at her disposal to head them off, didn't use. And nobody can say that she wasn't urged to do it. This, at its best, is gross hypocrisy by Hillary Clinton. Okay? The FBI, the CIA, and the Justice Department really wanted Boko Haram designated as a terrorist group. They wanted the authorities that would provide to go after them. And they voiced that repeatedly to elected officials. In May of 2012, then Justice Department official Lisa Monaco, now at the White House, wrote to the State Department to urge Clinton to designate Boko Haram as a terrorist organization. The following month, General Carter Ham, the chief of U.S. Africa Command, said that Boko Haram provided a safe haven for al-Qaeda in the Islamic Maghreb and was likely sharing explosives and funds with the group. And yet Hillary Clinton's State Department still declined to place Boko Haram on the terror watch list. Now, what happens when you get put on the terror watch list? I'm so glad you asked. See, when you get put on the terror watch list, it enables the government to use various investigative tools for law enforcement and intelligence gathering purposes against said group. It also squeezes the organization by criminalizing the provision of material support to it and the conduct of business with it. After numerous Boko Haram atrocities, Republicans attempted to force Secretary Clinton to designate the group or explain why she refused to do so. State Department heavily lobbied against this legislation. Only after John Kerry replaced Clinton and after a series of jihadist bombings against churches and other targets did the State Department finally relent and add Boko Haram to the terrorist list. The excuses now being offered in explanation of Clinton's dereliction are specious. Clinton's State Department claimed that Boko Haram was merely a local group with parochial grievances that was not a threat to the United States. Have a look, though, at the State Department's list here. Several of the listed groups are waging local terrorist campaigns that do not threaten the United States. The Basque ETA, the Libertarian Tigers of Tamil Eelam, the Real Irish Republican Army, etc., etc., etc. No need to go down the full list. Just know that there are more. A significant reason for having the list is to promote international cooperation against terrorism and discourage its use against anyone, anywhere. The fact that a terrorist organization may only have local grievances and may not directly imperil the United States has never, ever been thought a reason to exclude it from the terror list. Now, another rationale of Hillary apologists is that Hillary didn't want to raise Boko Haram's profile and assist in its recruiting. Excuse me. She's trying to use the Obama defense here that Guantanamo is an ISIS recruiting tool. Well, Hillary's now playing the card that putting Boko Haram on the terror watch list would help them recruit and would raise their profile. Absolutely ridiculous. The main point of having the list and the sanctions that accompany groups on the list that are designated as terrorist groups is to weaken the organization by depriving it of assets and material support. The logic of what Clinton supporters are claiming is that the U.S. counterterrorism law, much of which was put in place by the administration of her husband, President Bill Clinton, does more harm than good. Does anyone think they really believe that? What happened here is obvious. Although the commentary is loath to connect the dots because we know the mainstream media loves them some thunder thigh, cankle, pantsuit wearing, spasm in the neck having, horse teeth eating corn on the cob through a picket fence Hillary Clinton. Boko Haram is an Islamic supremacist organization. Mrs. Clinton, like the Obama administration, more broadly believes that appeasing Islamists, avoiding actions that might give them offense, slamming Americans who provoke them, promotes peace and stability. In Egypt, for a good example of how well this approach is working. Psst, look at Libya, too. Furthermore, if you are claiming to have decimated al-Qaeda, as the Obama administration was claiming to have done in the run-up to the 2012 election, the last thing you want to do is add jihadists to the terror list or beef up security at diplomatic posts in jihadist hotspots, or acknowledge that jihadists rioting in Cairo or jihadist attacks in Benghazi are something other than protest inspired by an internet video. Are you freaking kidding me? It's quite simple. Most of us on the national security right recognize that Islamic supremacism is an ideology rooted in Muslim scripture, a strict, literal, ancient interpretation of Muslim scripture. Essentially, it advocates the adoption of Sharia, Islam's legal code and societal framework. It is not the only way of construing Muslim scripture. Well, that's obvious because we have ordinary Muslims, right? I mean, obviously they fully believe or they would join the jihad, right? I mean, I don't know. I'm asking because I'm still confused about ordinary Muslims and what other kinds of Muslims there are. So we certainly hope that more benign constructions become dominant, but Islamic supremacism is far more mainstream than the West likes to admit, particularly in the Middle East and growing swaths of Africa. It is an ideology that endorses violent jihad, the treatment of women as cattle, sex slavery, child marriages, and other horrible things like honor killings or stonings or splashing acid in women's faces, even though these organizations quite naturally terrorize locally, their aspirations are global And they are a threat to us because their ideology unites them and regards the West as an enemy. The left believes that, by contrast, this seems to Islamist adherents of Islamic supremacism through the left would not refer to Islamic supremacism. They're motivated not by an ideology derived from scriptural commands, but by American policies that promote national defense, pursue other U.S. interests, and regard Israel as a key ally. Folks, this is Hillary Clinton's failure. Everything that has happened with Boko Haram from the year 2010, actually, let's go even further. Well, we can't pin her for everything before. Okay, so from 2010 to 2016, everything you have heard about Boko Haram is because Hillary let them grow into the 8-headed hydra that they are. Now, that's not to be confused with the 1-headed Medusa that Hillary is. Now, Mrs. Clinton and her cohorts do not deny that there are terrorists motivated by Islam, but they see terrorists and Islamists as separate categories, not united by a single ideology. Mrs. Clinton and President Obama have convinced themselves and many others that they know more about Islam than Muslim terrorists do, and that the peaceful, pliable, progressive Islam they have concocted somehow renders the jihadist Islam false. This means, abracadabra, Muslim terrorist groups can be miniaturized. They're not really Islamic, not really united, and they don't seek global conquest, and therefore they should just be seen as an isolated little standalone ragtag cobble of people who are acting a little pissy about something. They did it with Al-Qaeda, folks. They let Al-Qaeda grow into a monster. They've let Boko Haram grow into a small monster. And Boko Haram, when they get their hands on more money and more recruits, is just going to get bigger and stronger. This is Hillary's failing. This is Hillary's current failing, too. This is something that the GOP should be bashing her over the head with right now. Why doesn't Trump do this? Oh, God, I didn't even want to talk about him, but I have one more minute. So Trump's not doing this because he's too busy staying pissed off at Ted Cruz. But he'll go cuck and go vote and go endorse even John McCain and Lindsey Graham. It's unbelievable. Make America cuck again, folks. Coming up on the top of the hour here, want to remind you to stay tuned for the flip side with Michael Loftus. Funny, insightful, witty, dripping with sarcasm, dripping with funny too. That's funny. He's got a lot of stuff dripping there. But it's all good stuff. So do stay tuned. And after Loftus, stay tuned for Jesse's POV. And then later tonight, America Off the Rails with the venerable Rowdy Rick Robinson. Folks, I am your friendly neighborhood grouch, and as always, it has been a pleasure to be with you for the last hour. I hope you have a great rest of the week, and I will see you back right here on KLRN Radio next week. Thank you, and God bless.
We believe in the American way, and we built this country called the USA, and we fly our flag because we're proud and free, we're Americans. Red, white, and blue is our way of life. Never back down.
Having a place to go after school will make you a better student. Having an outlet to express yourself will make you a better artist. Having something to do together will make you a better family. At The Y, we're helping build better friends, listeners, writers, swimmers, scientists, and musicians, one chance at a time. Give the gift of opportunity. Support The Y at ymca.net. The Y, for a better us.